What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Trainer Revenue Multiplier podcast. As always, I am your host, Jaime Filer, and I am joined once a month for one of my favorite episodes, Coach's Corner with Isaac Miller, where we go over someone in someone's business who was where you are, but has lived to tell the tale about it. How are you doing, Isaac?
I am fantastic. We finished up an amazing weekend in Cayman Islands with Mathew, doing a pretty awesome event. So I'm still fired up from that, and excited for the next phase and what's to come.
Amazing. Yeah. How was the weather? How was the retreat in general?
Oh, it was perfect. I got there and they're like, "Oh, this is horrible weather," and I'm like, "You guys are spoiled here. This is amazing."
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so great, Isaac. I'm glad you had fun, that you connected, all of that. Sweet. All right, let's dive into Coach's Corner. Give me the basics. Build the story for me. Once upon a time, there were trainers who?
Yeah. So once upon a time, there was a trainer who was a part of TRM a long time ago, like the original, like OG, one of the beginning. And he, built up a pretty good business, then decided to start up his own gym. And then through that kind of exited TRM and did the gym thing. And then I had the opportunity to meet him at one of our Dallas events.
Hell yeah.
And quickly that fire turned back on. I believe he was doing a mentorship with someone else for gyms, and it just wasn't quite. I don't know. I could just tell that something wasn't clicking, and he was pretty, hitting that time of burnout. And so he joined back up with TRM. It was really kind of his general manager that was in, but we kind of enticed him to come on a call as well. And now I see both him and his manager on every call. And it went from, when we started, it was really just a gym owner who was doing everything for everyone at all times and pretty tired.
Yep.
And I would say the bank account of the business itself was not reflecting the amount of work being put in.
Okay. First question is, I'm sure a lot of us can relate to his predicament of being a solopreneur. So how did you either teach him or remind him that this is a group effort and he doesn't need to do every single job himself? He has help, he has support, he has all of it.
Yeah, that's a great question. And honestly, that was brought up first, but there was a disconnect.
Okay.
In terms of, it was like, I don't have the money to have them do these things.
Yeah.
And like the profit isn't there. But looking at the numbers as far as clientele goes,
yeah,
the numbers should be there. So why don't we? And it really came down to the compensation structure that he had in place, which was in theory great for the staff.
Yeah.
But not good for him in the business. And in reality, it was actually hindering the staff from being able to serve at the highest level because he couldn't do things like offboard certain tasks to certain people. And so the first thing we did actually was start to restructure the compensation plan and the way he went about kind of orienting and leading his team so that he could start to do more of this offboarding type stuff.
Yeah. So how did you teach him, or again, going to remind him how to restructure his compensation structure? Because that's also a really sensitive topic for people, right? Money going out is always very sensitive for people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do have to say hats off to him and his manager for being really receptive.
Good.
And there are people that, like, when it makes sense, like if you can break it down, it makes sense, there's no lag in execution, right? And so for me, it was really important to bypass the mental barriers and just make it make sense from the start, right? So at the beginning, it was I would say 70-30 split, where his staff got 70%, and then he got 30%.
Okay.
And I had to restructure it and say, it's not you getting the 30%. It's your gym. It's the business.
And back to the business. Yeah.
Money is, we don't do this for money, right? If we were, we wouldn't get into fitness, right? But like, it's a lifeblood of a business. Like, it is how we eat nutrients and calories to survive. A business eats currency to survive, and then it uses that energy for various functions.
Yeah.
And so I was like, let's say you do, 70-30 split. Well, that 30% going to you has to go to your living expenses, which means it has to exit the business immediately to allow you to survive.
Yep.
But now if we switch this to something like an hourly rate base pay, and you got more profit from that hour being done, and then we switched it from maybe a one-on-one to a semi-private where you got more money for that hour. Now, yes, that trainer may make less, but what you can do with that increased profit is now put into marketing, put into ad spend, put into events that then gives that trainer even more people to work with. Now you're maxing out that trainer's roster. They're making more than they were before, and they have more buy-in to the facility because perceivably you're taking care of them. You're bringing them people. You're shuttling them, work. But now you also have profit margin to pay them for other things. Let's say you have a trainer who's really good with social media, and now you hire them to take over your social media, and you have the profit to actually pay them for those tasks. This is where we get into the profit, and it clicked for them. And they're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. And so, we really broke it down to let's play out a scenario with, option A, the split, the 70-30 split, or option B of an hourly rate. And we played it through. And by the end of the little kind of scenario we did, option A capped in growth way before it should. Option B allowed exponential and compounding growth over a long period of time.
But you have to be okay with that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So door one or door two, give us the rest of talk us through that, right? We started with the once upon a time. Our protagonist chose door number 2. Talk us through the story. What happened next? You changed the compensation structure. You changed how he was delegating and deferring. Keep going.
Yep. So he decided to, I would say he's still walking through door number 2, meaning he had a staff, right? And there are certain staff that were already, doing the split, the 70-30 split.
Yeah.
And they're kind of pillars to his community. But there were other staff that had to leave due to just outside circumstances. And there was also a demand for new staff. So he brought on 3 new trainers.
Yeah.
But these new trainers, he all switched to this new compensation plan. And immediately he felt that sigh of relief as he looked and saw that money coming in and not immediately going back out. Yeah. And he was able to put into action new types of things. He was able to put more time into working on the business and not in the business, because the only way he was keeping the doors open is if he traded time for money in order to keep those doors open, because he was the profit maker,
right?
Not the business itself.
So that was going to be my next question, Isaac, because you started out this conversation by saying he was burnt out. And it's funny that you mentioned currency, because time, energy, and money are all currencies, right? So he was burnt out, which meant that his energy currency was in the red versus the black. So how did you slow him down enough, psychologically speaking, to create the space for him to have more space and energy?
So This gym owner is a lot like me. There is no slowing down per se.
Okay.
We can try. He's also a veteran like me, and for some reason we kind of gravitate towards chaos. And it's like, riding a bull sounds horrible, but I kind of want to do it, right? Like it's
Oh my God, that's so
that kind of mindset. So what we did was we were able to free up some of that mental exhaustion, because decision fatigue is a real thing. Once you get to like running a full business and you have employees and you have like high double digit clientele, and like everything's kind of everywhere all the time, there's a lot of decision fatigue and it can start to wear you down. So what we had to do was we had to free up that mental currency and allow him to not be focused on so much in the weeds stuff, and focus more on the high level, like 20, 30,000, foot view. And immediately we started to see a shift in his energy levels.
Amazing.
Because he's able to actually think through things, be able to see strategy, right? And to actually be in control of the ship instead of the ship just going and him trying to keep it at least in some kind of course. He actually can set that course and move.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So give us, I don't want to say like people like hearing about money, but when we're talking about a client's transformation, we can talk about the emotional and the physical and the how they've changed their relationship with the scale. But sometimes what it comes down to is, but how much weight did the client lose in 12 weeks, right? So Isaac, talk to us about numbers. How much more profitable is this client's business? And if it's a non-scale victory and he got his time back and he's spending more time with his family, totally cool also. But like, what can you share with us regarding metrics?
No, I love this. And I love how you related it to like weight loss, right? Like, what's the scale say?
Yeah.
And oftentimes us as trainers, we get so like, we just want to strangle our clients sometimes because they're like, but the scale hasn't moved. And it's like, yes, but you've gained 5 pounds of muscle and you've lost 3% body fat, which means you've lost essentially, 5 pounds of fat and gained 5 pounds of muscle, right?
Yeah.
So in this case, we have seen an increase in revenue by a few thousand, which is great for a brick and mortar. It's not life-changing, right? But it is great. Now, where the life-changing thing happens is that his profit margins have gone up by about 20%.
Wow.
And that's because he's spending less money just trying to keep the business alive. Yeah. And he's actually able to utilize some of that money now to get the business to grow. And that's a huge difference, because once that foundation is set, you can actually start to play the game of business. And this is where a lot of people, myself included, at times, especially in the brick and mortar space where there's a lot of overhead, there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of numbers in and out, it can be scary. And so we end up being a piece in the game and not the game player, right? And so business is a game. It really is. And it can be emotional. It can be very like inundating to where it kind of sucks you in. And the big thing is we don't want to be just a piece on that board, because then something or someone is going to play that game and it's not going to be us. And when it's our business, we need to be able to be the game players so that we can take care of the pieces. We can grow our part of the board. Yeah. So for him, it was really teaching him how to be the game player. And this conversion of, profit and revenue and expenses allowed him to actually start being the player of the game and not being a piece within the board.
Wow. Talk about powerful metaphors and analogies, Isaac. That was awesome. So again, if we're going to move forward, right, in our hero's journey, you mentioned the profit margins and you mentioned him making more and creating more time allowed him to focus on growing the business in one of three ways. You said specifically marketing, ad spend, and events. Where are you going to take him now? Where is his focus going to be with this extra 20% profit margin?
No, I love this. So we've also switched, or we are currently in the works of switching the payment structure on the client end. Okay. So going from like prepaid packages where it's like they're paying for like 6 or 8 weeks at a time.
Sure.
Instead, we're going to be switching more to like biweekly or monthly payments. So he has a more consistent monthly recurring revenue. That means we can keep these roller coasters from happening, which in a brick and mortar where there's, again, a lot of overhead, a lot of money in, a lot of money out, we don't want that roller coaster because then, you know, something happens, you know, elections coming up, people aren't wanting to, you know, everything crazy in the world can happen.
Yeah.
And then you end up having a flatlined month and there's nothing there to protect you.
Yep.
So we want to build that protection in. So that's one switch that we're currently making. Now, there are few times where these prepaids are great, but we need to package them and market them in a way where we can get a huge influx of cash at one time, because that in and of itself creates a buffer, because you can use some of that money now to buy more clientele out of the marketplace,
right,
via paid marketing and ads and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So we are planning some kind of like Black Friday kind of deal, exclusive to his people. He's going to be networking with other local businesses to bring them in so we can utilize their database and network as well. So say, for example, if someone comes in and they buy, you know, 6 months paid in full of a membership for their group fitness, they're semi-private, and they do that, now they'll also get like a free shirt, maybe a free like supplement thing, or maybe even a free upgrade to nutrition coaching. But then they're also going to get an option of getting the services from one of the partner companies. So let's say he partners with a barbershop and a massage therapist, right? But if they do that 6 months paid in full, their next 2 haircuts are on the gym, or their next 2 massages are on the gym, right? And so now not only does he get to win because he can do promotions and send out email kind of template campaigns to those partners, and they send that to their whole database. They click to join the wait list, and now that wait list goes to a funnel that brings them all into his database. Now he can start nurturing them.
Yeah.
But now all of them can work together, so that barber doesn't have to make any sales, but they might have someone, you know, join the Black Friday deal and see, oh, I need my haircut anyway. And so they opt in to get the 2 free haircuts, or vice versa. Maybe it's a massage, you know, client who came from that massage therapist and like, oh, this is great. And then they're looking at that drop down and they realize, like, you know, I don't mind paying for my massage. I go every 2 weeks anyway, or it's a membership thing, right? But my husband's been really dying to get his, you know, whole look done up. So I might as well just get the barber treatment and surprise my husband with this, right? Yeah. So now the barber and the massage therapist win because they don't have to make any sales themselves, but they're also now being able to utilize the network of each other, not just the gym.
Right.
So they're gaining a database that's tripled in size.
Incredible. And let's not also forget, like, the benefit of the brick and mortar is community, right? Like you said, the last thing was events. So now the barber might show up at the gym's 4-year anniversary party, or vice versa, right? Like, can show up and put people through a workout when the barber has his 5-year anniversary party. So there's just, you know, like Mathew said on our call about how powerful the retreat was because of collaborations and partnerships and idea swapping and just community in general, right? This is, and it doesn't cost anybody anything. Yeah.
And the memberships, and the events, they had just recently ran an event, probably a month ago, and they got 40 leads from the event that weren't members. Yeah. And so then it's setting up the right automation sequencing and nurturing sequencing post-event to get them brought in. And I believe they've brought in 5 or 6 clients from that already. That's awesome. And there's still more long-term nurturing that we can do to warm those people up, those levels of awareness, to get them to the point where they're ready to join the gym, right? So the events, that team is great at community and bringing people in for events. They have their kind of, you know, niche dialed down, and that style of client, maybe not specific goal, but the personality of their clientele dialed in. So it's there's going to be so much more growth to be had now that they're really understanding the benefits of these things that we're putting in place and seeing it. And you can, every time I get on the call with them, they're like more and more kind of bought in to the shifts and really receptive and making the shifts that they need to at the right times in order to see this fully transition over to a functioning and scalable model.
Amazing. Isaac, before we close out, what is one lesson this gym or even you have learned from this? Yeah.
If you can think of that end vision that you have, whether that's something that you feel called to, whether that's something you believe, God's placed you to do, whether that's something that you feel like, man, that's the impact I want to make.
Yeah.
Be married to that vision. Don't be married to the path that gets you there.
Oof.
You have to be able to pivot. You have to be able to adapt. One of the core concepts that I talked about in my presentation over this past week was skills that the military gave me in order to have a successful business. And part of that was the improvise, adapt, and overcome. Those are 3 pillars to kind of the Marine Corps thought process. Whenever we face challenges, we have to improvise, we have to adapt, and we have to overcome the obstacle. Business is going to throw you a lot of obstacles. It might be that you're a group fitness coach and you realize that in your area, group fitness is dead. Everyone's, on a race to the bottom price-wise, and those group fitness gyms have trained the market to be cheap.
Yeah.
Do you continue to ride with them to the bottom, or do you switch to a semi-private, right? Yeah. It might be that you're a one-on-one coach and you start your facility, but yet all of your time is spent doing one-on-one sessions.
Yeah.
You have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to pivot, to improvise, to be able to make the right hire, to offboard those clientele, to focus more on building the business and not on the business. It might be that business you got into isn't the business that you're supposed to be in, or that niche that you got is not the niche that's going to take you to that end vision, right? Yeah. So be married to that end vision, that end goal, but do not be married to the modality that you are currently on to get it there, because at some point in the next 20 years of your career, you're going to have to pivot, and that is okay. It does not mean you failed. That's actually what allows you to succeed.
Yeah. Oh, Isaac, amazing, brilliant. Where can people find you and learn more about TRM?
Yeah, so you can follow me at The Prolific Professor on Instagram. You can email me, Isaac@trainerrevenuemultiplier.com if you have any questions at all, or just follow the TRM page at Trainer Revenue Multiplier and see what we're all about.
Amazing. Isaac, thank you so much, guys. I am at Jaime91, JAIM, the number 91. We are at Trainer Revenue Multiplier. Looking forward to seeing you on the next episode. But in the meantime, please like, share, rate, subscribe, get the word out so we can keep delivering so much value to you guys on these episodes week after week. Have the best rest of your day, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Thanks so much, Isaac.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Trainer Revenue Multiplier Show. If you loved today's episode, head on over to Trainer Revenue Multiplier on the iTunes and Spotify and subscribe to the show today. Take a screenshot with your phone of this episode and share on your social media, and let us know any questions you may have, things you enjoyed about the show, or things you want to see more of coming down the pipeline, and tag us at Trainer Revenue Multiplier on your social media. And if you are looking for more real money-making, business-building things to help you grow to the next level in your business, have your more income, and have you working smarter and harder in your business, then head on over to trmshow.com to book your free 30-minute business building call today. We look forward to hearing from you, serving you, and of course, delivering more impact for your business. Have a great day. Take care. Let's keep growing.